Hey guys, welcome back to Storytime TV. I'm Karen, Peyton's mom, and today I'm excited to read to you Quincy QUOKKA Rides the Waves by Faye O. Anderson, illustrated by Lindy Van Tool. This book was sent to us by the author's family. They're wanting to spread the word about Quincy QUOKKA and the series of books written by Faye, so I really appreciate them sending it to us. I'm happy to share it with you. I had to look up, I have to admit, what in the world a quokka is, because I don't believe we have them here in Minnesota. So they are found in Australia, specifically an island off of Australia, and I'm not sure about anywhere else, but as you'll see in this book, they are cute little creatures found in Australia. So let's get to it. Quincy QUOKKA sat on a large rock, staring across the sea to the winking lights on the mainland, as the older quokkas told stories of the emus, koala bears, wallabies, and kangaroos, and the way they lived in that shadowy world across the bay. This was Quincy's favorite time of day, and he loved hearing the stories over and over again, though they left him with a restless curiosity to see the world across the water. The dawn stillness was broken by the calls from early morning surfers in the sea below, and the quokkas knew it was time for them to hide in the bush and sleep while the hot sun slowly rose and shimmered over the blue water. Life for the quokkas was quite simple and safe, as no cats or dogs were allowed on the island. However, Quincy was becoming increasingly bored. Life was too easy. Nothing was an effort, and without a challenge, the days became more and more dull. Quincy spent more time on his favorite rock, watching the outline of land in the distance, trying to imagine what life would be like over there. "I'll bet it's more exciting than this island," he told his friends. "One of these days, I'm going over there." The other quokkas rolled on the ground and shrieked with laughter at Quincy's words. "How are you going to get there? Are you going to flap your little paws and fly?" said Raleigh QUOKKA, running in circles and waving his paws up and down. "Maybe he is going to hop over there like a kangaroo," said Benny QUOKKA, hopping around in imitation of a kangaroo. "Why don't you stow away? There's lots of boats in the bay," said Danny QUOKKA. "Perhaps he's afraid the boat will sink," Benny giggled. "And you know quokkas can't swim either." "Come on, Quincy. Let's go and have some fun. We'll peek around the cottage doors and make believe we're big rats to scare the ladies," Raleigh called as he scampered off. Quincy ignored his friend's invitation today and stayed on his rock, watching the swimmers in the water below. He saw how easily they moved through the water on their surfboards just by paddling with their hands, and started to feel excited. "Why, if I had a surfboard, I could visit the mainland as often as I liked," he thought to himself. As evening approached, he watched the surfers pull their boards onto the beach, and as they gradually disappeared, Quincy slowly made his way down to the water's edge. He moved along the row of boards, testing and pushing to see which one would suit him. They sure are heavy," he gasped as he strained and heaved with all his strength. But the surfboards refused to budge. Quincy spent hours trying to shift the boards, but finally the sky began to lighten and Quincy trudged tiredly back to the bush to sleep, determined to try again the next night. Quincy watched the surfers each day as they left the beach, hoping the boards would be left a little closer to the water's edge, until one night he realized that his chance had finally come. Two little boys were playing among the boards, running across them, chasing each other, and pulling the boards across the sand. Finally, they tired of the game and headed back to their cottage, and Quincy noticed, happily, that they had left one board very close to the water. He ran to the spot, his heart pounding with excitement, as with one big push, the board slid into the water. Quincy scrambled on board, then turned toward the mainland and began to paddle. But to his dismay, his little paws made very little headway against the tide, and the board rolled gracefully back to shore. "Oh dear, won't I ever get away from Rottnest Island?" Quincy sighed, paddling furiously. But the waves carried him back to the shore again and again, until finally he felt so exhausted he fell asleep, gently rocked by the lapping water. Quincy woke to a fearful noise of yelling and screaming and almost fell off the surfboard before he realized where he was. As he had slept, the wind had come up and pushed him out in the bay, and he was surrounded by water at last. But what was that awful din? People were standing on the beach, waving their arms and shouting. Were they angry with him for taking the board? Up on the cliff, he could see Raleigh and Benny watching the scene below and couldn't resist sending them a cheeky wave. As he stood up, Quincy saw something in the water. A small boy was gurgling and gasping as he tried to keep his head above the water, and Quincy realized why all the people on the beach were calling out. The boy had been swept out the same as Quincy had and was in danger of drowning. Quincy quickly paddled toward him, and the little boy gratefully slid his arm over the board. He rested that way for a minute and then pulled himself onto the board and smiled at the quokka. "We'll be all right now, little fellow," he said, and together they paddled toward the shore. They were greeted by a big crowd of people who clapped and cheered as the boy told how Quincy and his surfboard had saved his life. What a brave little quokka! He deserves a medal for saving the boy. He should be rewarded. He's a hero. Quincy was photographed and patted and fed. He received so much attention that his friends, Raleigh and Benny, were quite miffed about the whole thing. "What would you like most of all?" he was asked. Quincy pointed to the surfboard. "Well, would you believe that? This quokka wants a surfboard. I've never heard of a quokka who liked to surf before. But if that's what he wants, that's what he deserves." Now, if you visit Rottnest Island, don't be surprised to see a quokka paddling around on a surfboard out in the bay, shooting the waves and posing for photographs like a real celebrity. Wasn't that a fun story? I now know what a quokka is, and they kind of do look like a big rat in a way, I guess. I can see how they could scare the ladies, as they joked about in the story. Had you heard of a quokka before? I don't think they probably normally wear sunglasses and swim trunks, but they probably don't surf in real life either. But it's a fun story. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time here on Storytime TV. Bye!
I hope you liked this story. Be sure to hit like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for visiting Storytime TV.